It's Wednesday evening. It is October 8th, 2025. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Welcome into Live Weather Impact. We've got a lot to talk about because we have a cold front moving through. Not a lot of fanfare with rain, but certainly making for an amazing sunset right now, and it will give us some finally cooler, drier air. Let's start with the views because we've got some gorgeous views out there. First view up here is our Dallas camera. Spectacular. I mean, we've got these kind of low clouds, and you kind of get these great fall clouds this time of year when you get cold fronts, because even though the front's kind of already through, where you've seen those beautiful conditions across our area. You see our quad cam there, our Mr. Sparky camera network looks great. The other camera that looks amazing right now is our Lyles. I mean, look at this. I was showing this during our shows. That looks like a painting. I mean, that almost does not look real. Just a beautiful shot. And yeah, this time of year, I'm looking at sunset tonight. It is at 7:50 or 6:58. So we're not too far away. We actually could watch this live probably towards the end of the show. But beautiful views out there tonight. So where's the front? It's kind of already past us. I'm going to kind of draw it on here real quickly. It's roughly right in here. So it's literally moving across the area. The problem is the cold air is way behind it. You can see the flow is shifted to the north, so nothing on the radar other than what we call false returns. Temperatures are still warm, low 80s. We got to 85 today, 85 degrees. The morning low was 70. Now we will be below that 70 for sure, because I do think we'll be below that by midnight, so that will not last. The dew points, though, this really shows me where the drier air is coming in and kind of where the front is. Dew points in Boone, Hickory, Wilkesboro, Mount Airy, Greensboro, all in the 50s already and 40s. So that tells you drier air is moving in. So tonight, it'll take a while. This could take until probably dawn for this temperature to happen. So it's going to be a while. We'll be back in the 50s, 30s and 40s in the mountains. But tomorrow night gets even cooler. The winds, we're going to talk a lot about this today. We got a nor'easter. Notice that northeast wind. That's where the nor'easter gets its name, and we're going to see a lot of that. You're going to get sick of a northeast wind by the end of this weekend. Tomorrow's highs back in the low 70s. Look at that northeast wind, 11 sustained to 15, possibly gusting to 25 tomorrow. So pretty breezy. The wind is going to be a big story. Now, tomorrow night into Friday morning, this is the cool down. This will be the coolest morning that we have seen in Charlotte since April 17th. So you got to go way back to April. In the mountains, maybe not the coolest this season so far because we had a pretty crisp couple days in early September with frost. But I wouldn't be surprised to see frost in sheltered locations. One thing about the wind, it makes it feel cooler by day, but at night it actually keeps you warmer because it mixes up the atmosphere. It doesn't allow frost to form, doesn't allow cool air to settle. So it actually could be a little warmer than that. Now, what's going to happen this weekend? We've talked a lot about this week. The confidence is there. We are going to see a low pressure system form on the coast. We call these nor'easters when they're not tropical, because of the northeast wind they produce. And the wind is going to be the story. I'm going to plot the winds on our future cast. Notice the northeast winds tonight and tomorrow. By the way, these are gusts, so it kind of shows you how high the gust will be. Notice what happens during the day on Saturday. Clouds try to move in. I'm not buying the rain, but we could see gusts to 20, 25 miles per hour. So breezy. If we get clouds and wind, it'll feel pretty chilly on Saturday, even with the cooler air kind of going out. Now, the impacts on the coast, low impacts just inland. On the coast is where this is. So this is a coastal event, really, by its nature. High surf, overwash, 50-mile-per-hour winds possible in the Outer Banks. Could even be higher. But the Outer Banks I'm really concerned about because northeast wind is the worst flow for them, and they've had a struggle already with these type of setups this year. And with high tides this week being already astronomically high because of the king tides. Today is actually the lunar perigee. The moon is actually closer to the earth today than it was on the full moon on Monday. So we're seeing a big uptick in those high tides right now. And that's going to be an issue, not just here, up and down the entire East Coast. So coming up with Tim, we'll talk about some of the tide levels. I think Charleston had moderate flooding today. They're expected to have major flooding the next couple of days. Futurecast kind of shows you this thing evolving. Look at this low pressure crank up and kind of spin up the coast. Really starts Friday, but cranks up Saturday into Sunday. And it could still be around Monday, especially for our Norfolk area, Tidewater, southern Chesapeake. Then eventually moves away, but the winds are still out of the northeast into next week. So expect the winds to be an issue for a while. And speaking of those winds, the offshore winds are pretty high. I just saw gale warnings posted for the coastal waters of South Carolina. That's when you don't have a tropical system, you get gale or storm warnings. That's just another kind of term for the winds. Look at the wind coming right down the Chesapeake here. This is an interesting setup on Monday. Look at that kind of funneling down the Chesapeake. So in Norfolk and Hatteras, you get 40, 45-mile-an-hour winds. And sound side flooding could be an issue with that type of wind. And that means water coming from the sound side, not the ocean side of the Outer Banks. So we could get flooding from both sides. Rainfall amounts, boy, I wish this was over us. This is the good thing for eastern North Carolina. They're in moderate drought, so they'll probably take every drop they can get out of this. 2 to 4 inches in the dark green, 4 to 7 up towards the Norfolk area. Now, temperature-wise, long range, even though we have a cool down this next 4 to 8 hours, it doesn't last very long. There's already significant signs of a heat dome. Now, by October heat domes, this isn't the summer. This is October. It's still going to be pretty warm, but we're going to be about 5 to 10 degrees above normal for most of the country, and we're also going to be bone dry. We talked a lot about that fire danger. I wish we would have got more rain today. I do not like the setup going into next week. So the weekend, we'll call it windy. Might have a few sprinkles here and there, some clouds on Saturday more so than Sunday. Temperatures in the 70s. Your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. 2 things to notice. The morning lows are very comfortable. The afternoons slowly get warmer. By Monday, we're already at 77, which will be above normal. As we go into next week, we'll see even more temperatures in the upper 70s, low 80s. Let's go 10 days in the future, and this kind of shows you just how warm and dry it's going to be. Around 80 most of next week. Not much in the way of rain, full sunshine. And the only good thing about next week, the heat, it won't be muggy like it's been here the last couple days. It was humid. The dew points were in the 60s and 70s at times. Next week, it's a dry heat, if you will, by October, but that's a bad thing because that leads to drought being a big issue. Tomorrow, we'll get our drought monitor update. Don't expect a great deal of change, and probably by next week's drought monitor update, it's going to be even worse. So just prepare yourself now. Dry, warm conditions and wildfire danger is quite high.